The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Welcome to Moments of Strength. I'm your host, Mary Kaufman. These are stories from the motherhood journey shared to better understand what we are actually carrying, building, and becoming. Every story is different. None of them are perfect, but all of them reflect the capacity and capability of mothers in real life. This is a place to be reminded you don't have to figure everything out on your own. I'm happy you could join us for today's journey. And today's guest is Kathy. Kathy, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So excited to have you. You and I just met sort of recently, probably after the first of the year.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to learn about your pursuits with travel.
Yeah.
Which led us to conversations about everything that brought you to that point. And I think that that's a story that should be shared because as mothers, we have these pursuits, and you're an example of how, even if it's in the distance, you can achieve that. And so, yes, so we would like to know how that came about. And so if you could start somewhere in your childhood, as much or as little as you would like to share,
Sure.
so we can sort of follow that path to and through motherhood.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the oldest of three. I'm the only girl. I have two younger brothers, and I am a stereotypical oldest daughter. Like,
Okay.
you know, I fancied myself the second mother, you know. I wasn't expected to be, but, you know, I put myself in there. So, in fact, one of my funniest memories of being a kid was my brother kind of finally taking me down and, you know, pushing me up against the stairs when I was like in middle school. And you are not my mom. And I thought, well, okay, so you think. A boundary. But yeah, I had a great childhood. Lots of, you know, my dad was a fisherman and hunter. And so I spent a lot of time out, you know, scaring the fish away, as he would say, because I was never quiet enough.
They're not really cut out for
you know,
that either,
right. You know, we spent a lot of weekends just him untangling the fishing pole that I had tangled up. And
how kind of him.
Yeah.
So did you grow up in a small town? Did you grow up in a city?
I grew up in a suburb of Minneapolis.
Okay, yes.
So, you know, pretty typical cul-de-sac life. And so.
Yeah, and then sports or extracurriculars, band, music?
So I played the clarinet for about 15 minutes. I was terrible, absolutely terrible. I remember my 5th grade band concert, and I did not know how to read music, and I did not know how to play the clarinet. And so I kind of sat there and moved my fingers and faked it. And I remember after the concert, my dad said, well, that was very nice, but why were you pretending to play? So that was the end of my clarinet experience. I played softball pretty badly, but I liked it. So I played second base for most of middle school and part of high school. But, you know, I was generally the last picked in gym class.
I see. Well, it's got to be someone.
Yeah. Well, it was always me.
Yeah. And if you enjoyed it, I mean.
I had fun. I really did like it. And I still loved it when my kids played. I love baseball. I love softball. And now my grandkids, it's fun to go and watch them, you know, do whatever they're doing from karate and soccer. And
you could be a real spectator of the
Yes.
grandkids.
Yes.
Like a little more relaxed.
Very.
You know, one removed from
Yes.
coaching at home and things like
Exactly.
that. Yeah. So, typical kind of school experience?
Yeah, typical school experience. I was pretty quiet and I wouldn't say shy, but more insecure. I think I had that classic angsty girl, you know, not quite enough thing going on all through middle school and high school. And, you know, with the real popular girls, I wasn't cute enough, and with the real smart girls, I wasn't smart enough, and, you know, all of that things we do to ourselves.
Absolutely.
So, but I had some really lovely friends that were still in touch, which is really fortunate. And so really pretty typical high school experience. And but like I say, I wasn't in any particular crowd.
Sure.
And just sort of hung back. I was more of a spectator in high school.
Yeah.
And then I left for college. I went to Wisconsin for college. I went to Eau Claire.
Gotcha.
And I joined a sorority there, and Greek life there is not huge. It's it's not like some of the southern schools.
Sure.
But it was great for me because it gave me an instant place to kind of fit. And those friends, that group of about 12 or 15 women, we've been friends forever, and we are so close. And that's a gift. That I really,
absolutely.
We've stayed really close, which is wonderful.
Well, you went through something very challenging together, and we're probably with each other all the time.
Yeah.
So those bonds are so important.
Yeah, they really are. Yeah, they're lovely women.
And that's what we really want, is to be part of something. And so what a great way to experience that. And long lasting. You're still friends with them. So, and what did you go to school for?
Oh, I kind of meandered around trying to figure that out for a while, but ultimately I ended up graduating with a degree in English. I graduated from UW-Milwaukee. I transferred my last year. Followed a boy, which not always a good choice, but it turned out fine.
Yeah.
So I graduated from Milwaukee with a degree in English, and so I started out my adult life in Milwaukee, and then have been in the Madison area since '93. So.
A little while.
Yeah, quite a long time.
So when you went to Milwaukee and then graduated, did you get a job? I mean, English is, you have to be very particular maybe with what you're going to do, or you find work elsewhere.
I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do.
I was kind of like that too.
Absolutely no idea. And I really, most of my career, I feel like I've had pretty good success, but a lot of it I kind of fell into and stumbled into.
Sure.
Which I feel lucky, actually, that I'm the generation I am in that regard, because I don't think that my kids' generation will have that same opportunity to just kind of stumble into something and find great success. It's much more competitive. I got out, I got married very young. I had kids really young, and I didn't really start my career. I had some jobs along the way to be busy and have things to do, but I didn't really start my career until, I was a mom of 4 kids. So that I was a little bit of a late bloomer in that regard. But I fell into a copywriting role that led into a long-term career in marketing that I really enjoyed.
Oh, yeah, nice.
So just kind of moved my way up in marketing.
So can I ask how old you were when you had your first baby? Because you said young. So
yeah, so I married, I think I was 21, and my daughter was born when I was 23. So pretty young, you know, and it didn't feel as young then as I realized it is now. I felt like I was older than I was, but it's pretty darn young. So and then I started kind of my long-term career in about 2000.
Okay, so you had baby when you were 23, and then how are they spaced?
So there's 4 that were pretty stair-stepped.
Okay.
So I had the first 4. They're all about 1.5 to 2.5 years apart. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a pretty big gap. And then my youngest daughter was born when I was 37. So kind of that difference. Also being a young mom and a little bit not older mom, but a little bit older mom. So very different experience.
They call it like a geriatric
Oh, that was yes. I had a big orange sticker on the front of my.
I had some of those,
and I was like, geriatric. I'm 37, but
now.
it was certainly a different experience.
Well, you have some life experience by then. When you, I don't think there's really an argument about something that's better. It's just different experiences.
But it's different. Certainly, it's different. And
and your kids will be raised different because different. You know more. You have bumped up against some things, and you understand that maybe you are coming out of the other side of that. But when you first start out, it is just you have no idea, and it can feel isolating, and I mean, you just feel like you don't know what you're doing.
Oh no. I remember, when my oldest daughter was born, and I remember thinking, like, they're going to let me take her home. I mean, this seems like a huge mistake. Like, how are they going to? You realize I don't have a clue, and I really didn't.
No, I think most
stumble
moms
along
don't.
And you figure it out, and so my youngest daughter had a much different childhood, but
she had older siblings.
She had older siblings, and that was such a gift for her and for them too.
Yeah,
so
for sure. So, okay, so you're bumping into things, as this mom of 4. What do you think about that? I mean, when you think back on that, for people who are in that right now, I mean, I'm in that, but my youngest is 12 now, so we're sort of moving to a different stage in life. But I mean, I remember my kids are similarly like 3 years each and 4, and then we have a son who's much older. But I mean, it's just like moment to moment. Really.
It is, well, in that moment. So, I remember having 3 kids in diapers, and, that just seems crazy to me now. It felt very run-of-the-mill in the moment, but now I look back and I think, that was nuts. What were you doing? But yeah, I mean, so now we've got this big brood of kids. So I have 5. My husband has 2 sons. So between us, we have this brood of 7 wonderful adult humans, and so lucky. And they're starting to marry and be in committed long-term relationships, and that's really exciting too, to see where their lives are unfolding and meet the people that they love. And so that's really cool.
It's motherhood, but just in different way. I mean, it never stops. And you're a little bit removed, but you feel the same way about your kids. And
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They're still part of you. And the more the merrier, I think.
I love having this big family. I mean, I really, really do. We were all together recently. My stepson got married in Mexico, and we had everybody together, and it was just absolutely fabulous. And it wouldn't matter where. I mean, we could all stand in the driveway. If we were all together, that's what matters, and we had so much fun. And it doesn't happen all that often. Everybody's got their own adult lives and careers, and
schedules are so wild.
And people are around the country and living their lives as they should. So, but it was really fun, and that's what really energizes me now, is the opportunity to get everybody in the same space, even if it's briefly.
So, So I'm really interested too in, now you're in this, I mean, you're very just calm, you might not really be like that inside, but just calm and talking about, getting the family together. And it seems like you've reached a point where you can do that. I feel like I'm on my way to that. And I would say it's getting to that point because I was so committed and gave so much of myself. Not all, I don't recommend giving everything, but so much of myself. My kids were just the priority, and their experience was the priority. And I invested so much time on the front end that it makes these years, I'm not saying they're easy.
Right.
I feel like they're more manageable because of the work on the front end. Is that something you feel? And I'm not saying that means you have to be a stay-at-home mom or anything like that, but I want to throw that out there and get your opinion, because you had, and it doesn't have to agree, but just out of curiosity, what do you think?
It's funny, because before our conversation, I was kind of really giving this some thought, and I think I don't recommend giving all. And if I were to look back, I think I'm really right now at a real place of peace in my life and in my family. Everybody is doing well, and but it wasn't like that for a really long time. And I feel like I lost myself, for a long time.
Yes.
In the busy, the crazy of it all, the logistics, and I lost myself for a while. And I think that's, if I were to tell any young mom, like, make sure you can't take care of other people if you're not taking care of you. And I kind of stopped taking care of me for a while, which is really, nothing else works if you're not there for yourself.
Right.
And I wasn't for a long time, and that's hard. But that doesn't help your kids. It doesn't help any other relationship either. And it just isn't healthy.
And they learn that.
Yeah.
And it's not wrong. I think women don't intentionally do that, but like we talked about, you have a child, you don't know. There's not a map here. And I want to liken it to like the caterpillar that becomes a butterfly, where you dissolve to absolutely nothing and then rebuild. I don't think it has to be that way. Like, you know, to have some guidance or like the show or just somebody telling you like it's okay to hold on to part of yourself. You will grow, you will change. You have not been the mother of this first child or two children. You've never done that before, and so you will come out as a different person.
For sure.
But there is part of you that you will desperately want to get back to if you don't. It's just the core of who you are. And I experienced that a little bit too. Well, probably a lot. I mean, I was so thrown into what my kids were doing. I don't know. But yeah, even just one small thing you can do each day, even if it's just 5 minutes of remembering who that person is, or because your kids will get older and you will wonder, where is that? And you'll try to reconnect with that and you're not sure who that is and stuff. But you can save that part of yourself, I think. I think it's possible.
I think it's possible. I think in my case, too, I started this journey so young. I'm not sure I really understood who I was.
That's a good point.
It was hard to get back to who I was because I didn't really know who that person was. You know, I went from, you know, basically being a college kid to being a mom.
Yes.
And there wasn't sort of that, Kathy is an independent adult woman first.
Right.
You know, I just went from one to the other. And so, you know, I kind of had this identity crisis, you know, in my 40s, like, who am I?
You're not alone.
Who am I? And, you know, how did I get here? And I mean, I'm in a good place, but who is this person in this place?
Yeah.
So that was, I think it's hard to put yourself first when you don't really understand who you are or what you need. So that took some work to kind of figure that out.
What do you think, besides losing yourself, not to trivialize that, but what do you think were some of maybe the more challenging aspects of just motherhood, kind of when you were in the throes of it, if you think back to that? And I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but.
Oh, I mean, I just think just the physical labor of it all is intense. The mental load is intense. You put that all together. I mean, it's simply exhausting. It really is. And I don't think that until you're in it, you can appreciate how exhausting it is. And even now looking back, I think, how did I do that? Like,
for sure.
I don't know how I did that. You know, we have our grandkids now for a weekend and I'm just exhausted.
Yes.
And I don't know how in the world I had all these kids. And so, you know, in retrospect, I'm really proud of what I was able to get done. But no, it's just so much physical work, mental work, the logistics of it all, and then trying to prioritize and, you know, then you add a career on top of that or whatever it is you're doing, and then trying to care for yourself. And it's just a lot. And I don't think that people understand what they're getting into. And I, you know, I love being a mom. I loved being a mom when my kids were young, but I don't think I had any idea what I was getting into. You can't until you're in it.
I wonder if that's by design.
Oh, for
Because,
sure.
you know, like if people understood,
If somebody
would they
told you,
choose
you'd never
it?
do it.
Yeah.
If somebody told you up front, you'd never start, because if somebody said, you want this job and it's unpaid and you're going to be tired all the time and you're going to worry 24 hours a day and you're going to kind of lose yourself in it, and, you know, there's no guarantees you're going to like it, but you can't ever quit. Nobody would ever go. We would cease to exist as a species.
So we have to edit that out so people don't see that and not want to do it. So I have this aim that is a long goal, to help impact the strength that girls have in elementary school and have them carry that through junior high and high school. And when you were talking about, you know, being in junior high and high school and like the mean girls and the popular, that's human nature, that is going to happen. But how do we, or insecurities, you're going to have those, but how do we help girls hang on to that strength they have in elementary school? Because it seems to be there when they are born, and they run in packs and they do things on the playground and they work together, and then something shifts. And I think that's where the losing yourself kind of starts.
Yes.
And then you repeat that when you get into motherhood, because you've learned to sacrifice yourself for whatever reason, relationships, somebody validating you, which is the greatest human need. And so it's interesting to have this conversation because you've kind of given some examples of that. And I would love to not change that. I'm one person, but, you know, to help impact those girls so they have inner strength for when they are a mother or whatever they're doing in the world, so they don't have to get an external validation to be who they are, and then they can approach that in a different way.
Yeah.
And so hopefully conversations on this show kind of support that for the moms who are raising them too.
I think that's so interesting because I think, like, I have 2 granddaughters, 6 and 10, and they have that. Just they're so empowered and happy and strong and excited about everything, and I absolutely do not want them to lose that. But I look at what my daughter's doing in raising them, and I think she is doing such a better job than I did. And frankly, than my own mother did, and just on my own mom. I mean, this is generational.
Right, yes, of course.
I think this generation of mothers is doing a far superior job of telling their little girls that they're strong and smart and capable and don't need a guy and, you know, all the things, right? I think this generation of young moms, I applaud them because I think they're raising stronger, wiser, more resilient girls than I did or than my mother did or her mother did. And so I think a lot of the reasons that I was insecure, you know, in middle school and high school and all the way then through adulthood, you know, came from this kind of messaging that, you know, you have to be, you know, thinner or prettier or this or that or quieter or all the things that the messaging that we give to girls, be polite, be nice, all of that. And, you know, my daughter's not giving that message to her kids. She's giving them, be yourself, be strong, be who you are, be authentic. And that's not the messaging that I don't think, you know, that my generation necessarily got, that my mother's generation got or gave. And I think this younger generation of little girls is going to be far more resilient, stronger, wiser than we were. I hope so. At least for now they are.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if you know better, do better.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And we raised the moms who are raising those girls. And so, yeah, I mean, the expectations come, you know, women are half the population, so we perpetuate that as much as we don't want it. And so, you know, really taking ownership of that and trying to do better for the girls coming up. And again, you know, it's not an anti-man thing. It can even be separate from that. It's just, and men should do that too. You know, it's the power within. It's who can you be if you maximized who you are without the need for external validation. You can take that, you know, but you get to choose whether or not that's validating.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's a whole, you can take your lifetime to do that, but, you know, if we could plant those seeds. So yeah, so that's great. So then, so you have 5 kids.
I do.
We accelerated to the end of that. And then, and your husband has 2, so you have 7 together.
Yes.
And you love that.
I do. Yeah. I love that.
And you had a marketing career.
I
did, where did that go?
So I worked in marketing of financial services, executive education for 2 different companies over about 25 years. Traveled a lot, met a lot of wonderful people. I really enjoyed it. I was a stay-home mom for a while. I think, you know, while I was in it, I loved it.
Yes.
And I really thought it was my thing. Actually, I look back and I think it would have been good for me not to have been, because I think that's part of where I would have benefited and didn't realize I would have benefited from having something else too.
Yes.
And so, you know, I don't regret it because it was a great experience, but I do think that not even financially necessarily, but just emotionally, mentally, it would have been good for me to have something else and more adult interaction and a little less focus on kids, and something more for me. But I did step into that in 2000 and started as a copywriter and just kind of moved up. And I ended my career as a vice president of marketing and communications. I really enjoyed it. I worked with a wonderful team. And then one day I was just like, you know what? There's something different for me.
Yeah.
So last year I stepped back and my husband and I talked about it. And I said, I don't think this is for me anymore. I'm not sure what is for me anymore.
Yes.
But I knew that that wasn't it anymore. So I did step back about a year ago. And he asked me, he said, give yourself 90 days. And just, it was the summer.
Yes.
Just enjoy
Perfect
the
time.
summer and just relax and decide what it is you want. And I said, okay, I can do that. And so I went to the pool and I, brought my books and I thought I'm going to read through all my books.
Awesome.
And so I thought, this is what I'm going to do. This is my new life. I'm going to sit by the pool and I'm going to read books. And
How many books did you get through when you?
one.
Yeah, I know.
I got through one.
The same thing.
I got through one and I was just so bored.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm clearly not ready to retire. So that was not it. And I was kind of flirting with,
Sure.
I'm 59. So, should I retire? I could take early retirement and that would be okay. And that's not for me right now. So that was fine. But I discovered that pretty quickly. So
Yes. I just finished my degree, so I'm shifting to put more focus on my business. And I was like, okay, as soon as it's done, I'm just going to take a week, read all the books I've started. And I read, but I just cannot. I feel like time is running out a little bit. And I
feel
want
that a lot.
to, I want to be doing something with the time I'm allotted.
Yes.
So.
And I do love to read. I mean, there's nothing I
too.
enjoy more than sitting in the sunshine and reading. But I decided pretty quickly that was not going to be my lifestyle.
I don't want
that's
all
gonna
the
be
time to read.
That's going to be a break
Yes.
from what I'm doing, not what I'm doing.
Yes. I want to
so
be under a little pressure to get 20
thrive
pages.
on pressure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason I had 5 kids. I mean, I
Yes,
do on
same.
some level thrive on having a little more to do than I can get done. And so having long open days is not
Same.
good for me.
No, thank you. Okay, so one day at the pool, one book.
One day at the pool, one book. I was hot, sweaty, sunburned, and I'm like, okay, now what?
89 days to go.
Yep, 89 days to go. So I made it about a week.
And did you come to some conclusion?
Yeah,
or-
so I had been, I mean, I've loved to travel my whole life, always loved to travel. I didn't really start traveling internationally until I was in my 40s because I had babies.
Yes,
and,
of
you
course.
don't have the energy or the finances to, schlep babies all over the world. But in 2003, I think, we had hosted an exchange student from Finland, and she went home.
Okay.
And so we decided to take all the kids and go to Finland. So we did, and had such a wonderful time. We spent 3 weeks in Europe. She came with us, and we traveled all over France, and I was hooked. Absolutely
Yes.
hooked. That was it for me. I'm like, I want to see the world. I want to go everywhere. So that was a really, and I had traveled a lot in the U.S., but more camping trips and things
Sure.
like that, which were fun. But I really wanted to then do more.
And you traveled a
international.
little bit for work too? you
I
talked
traveled
about?
all the time
Okay,
in my
yeah.
corporate career, constantly. And some places, really interesting, some not so much. I mean, I did a lot of just small town America.
Sure.
Fairfield Inns and, Olive Garden and that kind of thing. Not exciting travel, but work
Sure.
travel. But I like traveling and I like meeting new people and I like new places, even if they're not like, the hot spots,
Sure.
right? So
It's just life.
I really did enjoy that part of my life. And also as a mom, sometimes I really enjoyed just having a hotel room to myself and the remote
Yes.
control all to myself and a book and a glass of wine and I could just do my thing. So I didn't mind that either. But once we got back from Europe, I decided that was my thing. I absolutely want to see everywhere.
Yes.
So, in the interim, I got divorced. I got remarried eventually. And so, now that my kids are grown, my husband and I are traveling a lot, and doing a lot more. But so I knew I wanted to travel more. I knew I also really love helping other people travel. Just as a hobby, I'd been helping people plan their vacations for years. People would call me and say, "Oh, you know, I know you've been here. Where should we go?" And so I decided to try and, you know, make that into a business, and I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it.
And this is what you do now.
This is what I do now. Yep. I'm a travel advisor, and I'm doing a lot of travel planning for people who either haven't gone and are not comfortable making the plans themselves, or some of my clients are very frequent travelers. They're just very busy.
Sure.
And they would like me to take care of it. So I do, and absolutely having the time of my life. It's so fun.
So what are a few places you've been to recently?
We were in Southeast Asia last December. We were there almost 3 weeks, and so we went to Singapore, which I loved. It was my first time in Singapore. Kuala Lumpur, which was fascinating. We went to Cambodia, to Angkor Wat, and to the Killing Fields Genocide Museum in Phnom Penh, which is extremely moving. And then we went our second time to Vietnam. We'd spent a couple of weeks in the northern and central part of Vietnam a few years ago and really loved it. And so we did southern Vietnam this time. And Vietnam is a place I would continue to go back to. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
What about it?
Well, you know, first of all, I hate being cold. So it's a wonderful place in the winter because it's warm, but it's not sweltering hot. I mean, it's humid. It's humid, but in the winter, it's quite nice. You know, it feels like Wisconsin summer.
Sure.
So it's quite nice, and then but it's really very, very affordable. So you can live really large in Vietnam on a very modest budget, which is always fun. So. But the people are gracious and lovely. The scenery is spectacular. The food is good. It's really an interesting and fun place to spend time.
And you do cruises?
I do cruises, yeah. I do river cruises is my favorite way to travel. The European rivers are beautiful, so I really enjoy that. I did a cruise through the Bordeaux region of France last fall with my mom. She will be 88 this summer, so it was super fun to spend that time with her, and we had a wonderful time, and just kind of, that's a fun cruise because the entire time you're gone over the course of a week, you only go about 40 miles. So you just kind of pedal on. It's slow rolling, a lot of wonderful food and great wine and wine tasting and culture and museums, and but a very mellow pace. And I like ocean cruises. My daughter and I did a Caribbean cruise a couple of years ago, and my husband and I have done several, and we did a med cruise with my mom a few years ago as well. So, and that's again one of the things I most enjoy is being able to go with people that are important to me. You know, I love traveling with my daughter. My youngest daughter, she's got a little more flexibility in her work schedule. She works in film, and so when she's between projects, she has time. She's been a great travel partner for me when she's got the time, and my mom, you know, can go on a moment's notice. So if I find a deal, so that's always fun.
That's great.
So, it's really special. My husband is still working full time, so you know, we travel as much as he can together. But then I still typically take a few trips on my own as well. So
that's awesome. So if somebody, I mean, of course, it's a wide range of people who could reach out to you. People who used to travel and maybe have been busy with jobs and kids and are getting back into that. I mean, travel is different than it used to be.
Travel is very different than it used to be.
That would be a reason to reach out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot happening in the world right now. So, you know.
Where do you go? How do you get there?
Yeah, there's a lot happening, and just a lot of change. I mean, you may have one plan and you might just have to swap it to plan B pretty quickly, but we'll make it work. So.
Yes, and you had some clients recently who were not 20.
No, I love these women. They are 88 and 89, I believe, and they've traveled extensively. Two friends that my mom introduced me to, and wonderful, wonderful ladies, and they are currently on a 20.
Well, they're still gone?
They're still gone. Yeah, they're
Oh my gosh.
they're on. I think it's a 25-day cruise
Oh
tour
my
all over.
gosh.
They left Singapore and they're going along the coast of Africa and to the Seychelles and Maldives, and absolutely beautiful itinerary. And I think they're having just a wonderful time. So I'm really excited for them, but I also kind of want to be them.
For sure,
I
the
want to
capacity
go,
of
go,
women.
go,
Yes.
and we're never going to stop and just push, push and push, because there's always something out there that we can learn and something out there that we can
Yes.
see that we haven't learned or we haven't seen. And so, I mean, I just hope to continue going well into my 80s. If I get lucky enough to do that, that would be such a blessing.
Are they checking in with you
They
periodically?
sent an email and told me they got there.
Okay.
So, but
Hopefully
I
that's
haven't
going well.
heard from them. So I'm
Oh my
hoping it
gosh.
just means they're having a wonderful time.
Yes,
So
we assume that.
I do assume that.
Yeah.
So
that's great. And, we talk about the capacity and the capability of mothers and just women in general. And, that's an important story because you can be 88 and 89 and still travel the world. And the one thing we do know is we don't know anything.
right.
We think we know, and you only know what you've been exposed to. And, it's just life has been here for so long and will be after we're gone and is so big. We think we know because we have a device we can access information on. But, when you're open to experiences, there's just so much out there to ingest, to experience, to interact with, and to prove you don't know. I mean,
It's true. It's true. Yeah, we think we know things, but we really don't. And
tiny sliver.
yes, yes. And I think the older I get, the more I'm realizing, that life is this huge thing, and we're just getting this little teeny bit of it because it went on well before we got here, and it will go on well after we left. And I had kind of a little bit of an emotional moment at my stepson's wedding. I looked over, and all of our kids were seated at a table together, and they were talking, and they were at the next table, and I looked over and I thought, they're going to be here for decades after I'm not.
I know.
And that, I don't know why it just sort of hit me like that, but it just really did. And I
Yeah.
thought, wow, I hope we've set them up, to be as happy in their lives as I am in mine. But what an amazing thing, but we only get this little teeny bit of it,
Yeah,
But for
I
that
agree.
little bit, we have to make the absolute most of it. And so to your point earlier, to just kind of sit around and not do much, I mean, what a waste of a day. And when you waste a day, you're wasting part of your life. And
You
it's
don't
such
get
a
it back.
finite thing. And I'm feeling that, how finite it is the older I get. Like,
Same.
I mean, you only know what you know, and you can't know it too soon, right?
Yeah.
But I do wish I had appreciated in my 20s and 30s how miraculous an individual day is. I would have enjoyed it more. Not that I
Yes.
didn't, but I really would have enjoyed it more and just soaked it in.
I think I don't think we can imagine, at those ages, because I'll even talk to my teenagers, and I'm always trying to, they're so tired of me maybe, but I'm trying to convey that it's finite. I don't focus on there's an end or doom and gloom,
but it's precious.
you have an opportunity. You either have an obligation or you have an opportunity. The mindset there. And I think they try, but their brains aren't fully developed yet. And then I'm trying to convey to them, then I have to remind myself that I just don't think there's not a receptacle for that in there yet. And they're still trying to have their own experiences.
Sure.
And I want them to, but also, they'll say this isn't a life lesson, I'm like, it is. And some things do get in, because I can tell by behaviors or choices, but that need as, parents to set them up so they have a good life. And I don't think a good life means you never bump up against something.
Oh, no.
You cannot avoid that. And so this need to coddle and protect and steer away from all harm, it's impossible to do, number one.
Right.
And you're not setting them up to be resilient. It doesn't mean push them off a cliff, but it's that was hard for me to learn. And I just am always you get a finite amount of time. You don't know how finite that is. You know, for moms that are feeling stressed out and you see this, you know, in public all the time, and they're just, it's their kid against them at any age. It's like, no. I mean, there are extreme cases. I don't want to generalize, but it's the same team. And it is not easy. It's never going to be easy.
No.
It is going to be worth it. It does call on everything that you are to make sure that that person is okay. You do have to invest in their growth. That does come at a cost from you. It doesn't mean all of you, but a lot of you.
Right.
You signed on, however that came about. If that person is your responsibility, stop wanting it to be easy. It just isn't. You have to accept that it's challenging and do the best you can with what you have, where you are in that moment. And then hopefully down the road, again, not easier, but they can have more autonomy. They can make the choices. You can be a supporter and a cheerleader more than the decision maker or the heavy in a situation. And so I think I just wish there was a way to teach that or incorporate that into even schools or whatever. Like, this is what it's going to be like, and however much of that can get in to prepare kids. And circling back to like trying to have an impact here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, I look back and I think I spent way too much time trying to control things that were uncontrollable.
Absolutely. Yes.
Instead of just embracing what was. And, you know, and so that's one of the things I'm working really hard now, to just be good with where things are, because where things are is good. You know, instead of trying to direct things or control, you know, that's a false sense of safety because it doesn't exist.
It does not exist.
So.
Yeah. That's how it starts out. So much like put them in a high chair, put up a gate, do the food. Like, so much of that early parenting is control. And some of that you do have control of, but what other people's kids do, you do not have control of. What other decisions moms make, you do not have control of. The state of the classroom, you don't have control of that.
Right.
You do have control of how you help your child process the things that happen. You know, the things that they see. You can't put a gate in front of everything, but if they bump into something, you can be there and help them process and learn for the next time. Yeah. And that's sort of over time what we learn, I think, as moms. And we have to bump into things, I think. People can tell us this.
Right, but you have to live it before, you know, people can tell it all day long, and until you've lived it, you don't really know.
Yeah. And it's okay to do it poorly. You just try to do it better next time.
Oh, there's so much I did poorly.
Same, still.
I mean, so much I wish I could redo and do differently and say differently, and, you know, I would be a completely different mother if I had it to do over again. Absolutely different mother. But I don't.
No.
And that's something that you have to kind of come to grasp with too, that I don't get to do it over. So today I'm going to be better than I was yesterday.
Yes, it's the only person you should compete with. I've even said to my kids, hey, sorry about, you know, something I remember from when they were like 4. And I'm like, sorry about that. Like, I would have done that differently. And they're like, what? You know, they don't even, I'm holding on to that. But they don't, it's not in their purview. They didn't remember it, you know, whatever happened there that I thought was awful or could have done better. They're just experiencing it differently than we are too. So it's good to hold yourself accountable, but also you don't have to beat yourself up too bad, you know.
Right.
And you can't change it anyway. So,
No,
yeah,
no.
just do better.
You can't.
Okay, so any other things you want to say to mothers or pieces of advice or support? And again, on the spot, anything you want to share with them? I mean, you're kind of in a peaceful place, and that's a good destination, I think.
Peace is a nice place to be. Yeah, it really is. No, I really, you know, I think for young moms, I really hope that they'll just take time for themselves, go for the walk, do whatever they need to do, set some boundaries, and make their physical and mental well-being a bigger priority than probably most are, more than I did for myself. And because if you're not there for yourself, you cannot be there for anybody else. And I think I learned that of, a very difficult lesson, and that, if you're not taking care of you, you're not really showing up the way you should be for the people around you either. And that has a cost.
Yes.
That has a physical health cost that, destroys relationships, it ends marriages. I mean, it just, if you're not there for yourself, that is not healthy for anybody. And so that would be my suggestion to any young mom, is to just take that time for yourself, figure out who you are, and if that means stepping back from the job for a little bit, that's okay. It's okay. Your kids are going to be fine. And if you need to, whatever you need to do for yourself, that's important. Whether that's a career, whether that's just going for a walk every day and taking care of your physical health, whether that is, finding a good therapist, whatever you need to do, get a massage, whatever you need to do to just get out of that, if you feel stuck, to get out and focus on you. I think you're going to show up better for everybody around you. And I think there's a lot of guilt for moms about doing that. And so many expectations, most of which are self-inflicted. But, I look back on when my kids were little, and I really wish I had not given one hoot that there were dishes in the sink, or we needed to vacuum, or whatever it is. I mean, I spent way too much of my life fixated on whether or not the house was clean than I should have on what really mattered, which was me and my kids and the real things that matter, the people, the humanity, the joy in the moment is sometimes just lost because we're fixated on that we have to empty the dishwasher or there's dog hair all over the place or whatever it is. And I wasted a lot of my life on that kind of nonsense that doesn't matter, and that if you can't step back from that, you can get a little crazy.
Yes.
It really isn't a healthy place. So let go of those expectations, I guess, is what I would tell other mothers. Just give yourself permission to just take care of yourself. And if everything else falls apart a little bit around you, as long as you're safe and your kids are safe, the rest of it doesn't matter much.
That's good. What if they want to travel? Should they get a hold of you?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And how do they do that?
I do have a website that is long, but you can find me on all the socials at Travel with Kathy Berman. I love helping people get out and see, whether it's just a long weekend in Chicago with a show, a theater trip to New York, or a long European journey. There's just so much to see and do with your kids, without your kids. It's a big, beautiful world. And I do think it's important to realize, too, you don't have to be wealthy to travel. You don't have to be affluent. There's a lot of affluent travel out there, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to be affluent to see the world. There are a lot of good ways to get out and about. I mean, we didn't take 5 kids to Europe for 3 weeks, we were pretty frugal.
Sure.
And there's ways to do it. And to me, that's part of the game. It's part of the fun, is making it happen for families, so you can do things with your kids and make different choices. And I think there's ways to prioritize and what really matters. And so I would love to help families figure that out.
Yeah, I think it's important, too, that you pointed out that it can be something like local even.
Oh, absolutely.
I think when people think, I'm going to contact somebody who helps with travel, it's like, I have to go on this long overseas.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know. But yeah, Chicago for the weekend, that can be daunting. There's a lot to do there.
There's a lot to do.
It's close,
yes,
but yeah.
There's a lot to do.
How do you choose?
And I would love to help families plan this stuff. And, for the long overseas trips, I mean, there's a lot of those. I love those. I'm in a place in my life now where I can take advantage of those. But I acknowledge, I mean, most families are not in a situation, either time or financially, that they can just take off for 3 weeks and, go to Asia.
Right.
That's probably not realistic for most, elementary school families. But certainly there's some really exciting things. I mean, we used to just, do trips where we would try and stick within a 5-hour drive because that's as long as the kids could focus. And, anything beyond that felt overwhelming. And there's some really cool places to go. So I would love to help.
Okay. That's awesome. So if they want to get a hold of you, we put the website up on the screen.
That'd be
they
great.
Should just go to your website.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you.
Kathy. This was so great.
This was fun.
Yeah, I'm so happy you shared your story.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Okay, so remember to keep your perspective, but don't forget to step into other people's perspectives like we did with Kathy here today. Be resilient, keep showing up. You need to do it for you, your kids, the world, and continue to have a pursuit. We have a good example today of just a desire to travel, and 20 years later, this is what Kathy is doing. So you can have long-term pursuits and short-term pursuits, but have something to hang on to and aim for. And thank you to Kathy for coming today. And remember that there are 2 billion of us mothers worldwide, and you are not alone. Thank you.